Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. I apologize for the delay and the absentee over the last week. We'll get into it, but first, we are going to get into music formats and use that as our mind fuel for world building. We love talking about tabletop role playing games here on this edge of the interwebs. So thank you very much for being here, and I hope you enjoy. But first, let's get through the intro and then get into uh, and do a little reminiscing about music formats, and then how we can use that idea for world building and our tabletop role playing games. Well, hello again. Thank you very much for being here. Um, having oh man, the past week's been uh, physically and economically, and I don't know. It's been a roller coaster, but we're not here for me. We're here for you, and I'm glad I could be here. Thank you very much for for remembering the hell that I even exist. You know how the interwebs are. Um, so I love just finding very odd, simple asides, like being inspired by things, and then I try not to dwell on them too long because I want to bring them here as Zoom. Damn, I didn't even get ready to get there. I, I try not to dwell on them too long because I like to bring those influential things here so we can talk about them. And Spook says, first and foremost, comment on music media in a setting. I refuse to believe a Zune is impressive in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You know, listen, you these are alien species. Maybe they somehow skipped their Zune period. Maybe we human beings are unique in and of ourselves to even have a Zune. For those, let's see if we could let's see if we could find a Zune here and get some images of what a Zune is. For those who don't know, um, for you young folk out there, there is a uh, we have gone through numerous music formats over the years, and some of us have been able to. Uh, let's see if we can get zoom in on one. How about this? No, we'll put you up here. So some of us have been privileged to live through an era where music formats have changed from like it felt like almost nothing to to its heyday, to its pinnacle, to almost disappearing entirely in terms of uh, how it's impacted us and whatnot. And Zune is the one that, man, they put a lot of money in it, and yeah, oh, there, someone's close to my heart. Yeah, they might have skipped the Zune. I'm told vinyl is the apex of music quality. So let me see if I can find an image. Let's see. Pick of. Let's see if we can find some really good images of the various music formats. I know they make T-shirts that are really fun, but let's get one that's got a little bit of everything in it. All right, all right. We'll do this one. We'll do this one. I think I found one. Yeah. we'll share this. So uh, I bring this up because throughout time, and if you take a look at the thumbnail, it also has that in there as well. That I have like a phonograph on the thumbnail. I put a record player. Records used to come in 33s and 45s. I can't remember which number applied to which. I think the 45s were the smaller ones because it related to how fast the record spun. But anyway, there's a, CD player in there. There is a tape cassette. There, I couldn't find an image of an 8-track player. We have, of course, there's other formats that I'm pretty much skipping over at the time. But one of the things that has happened when we talk about music, oh, I'm sorry. Well, to continue to talk about more music formats, of course, there is the Zune. Go back to the Zune. Of course, there's the Zune, right? Um, and yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the Zune, which was supposed to be a game changer against uh, Apple's iPod. And ooh, let's go back here, share this back again. There was the iPod. There was a number of versions of the iPod as it happened. I believe at the time, the largest iPod could hold 15,000 songs in general. So I'm not sure if anybody paid $15,000 to fill one up at its time, but I'm sure there was some people who uh, who missed their iPod and all the the tens of thousands of dollars, since each song at that time called cost $1 to fill it up. But even beyond, of course, the iPods, of course, our phones. Was it 33s? Okay, it was 33s. I couldn't remember which format. It was 33s were the small ones for the jukeboxes. Yep. And then the albums, which had multiple songs on them, and you could flip them over, of course. Each one you could flip over. Well, that's where the term B sides came from. We're going to talk about some of the terminology and whatnot. And of course, we went from our phones to having streaming services. But I bring all this up for what the hell does this have to do with fantasy? Drew says, "Good morning. Interesting that you talk about music formats today. Just yesterday, resubscribed to Spotify, though I made a playlist for my playtest adventure for the King and Orange. I love stuff like that. I love things like that." Spook says, "Just a quick Google search." Yeah, I couldn't remember. Listen, I don't know. What am I? That's what I would look up. I'm like, okay, let's see. The big albums, which had multiple songs on each side. It's so fun. So the reason I bring up music formats, and this is just a simple thing, it is a clear indicator of history. What we found fun, what we remember. There are young people today that all the formats that I talked about. Now, I don't remember phonographs. I ain't that old, but 8 tracks were the earliest music format that I remember of music when I was younger, because I remember being in a car with an 8 track. And but all the other formats that have existed out there, yeah. Oh, you missed vinyl? Yeah, I still remember vinyl. I still remember family and friends having uh being proud of their vinyl collections. And the there's a snap crackle pop related to vinyl when the needle hits the record, and a little bit of that is from like dust, and the needle collections and trying to get the perfect needles and whatnot. And I'm not even talking about the the music setups with the giant speakers back in the day, and the stereos, the portable boom uh, boom boxes that had D batteries, which I think young people don't even know what D batteries are any longer. And so music formats give us a sense of history. And in world building, sometimes it can be a little difficult because in fantasy, let's be honest, in fantasy gaming, you know, we often say like, "Oh, this is today, and this other thing is ancient," but we often don't make histories generational, where something existed and then something else took its place. Matter of fact, I should even have better music and background, to be honest with you. Uh, what's a better background? Let's crystallize our background and get some better music in here. I believe the music is AI. So sorry. It claims it's classical. Let's go with epic. There we go. All right. Spooks is I had several friends who were hipsters before hipsters and had some great vinyl collections. Yeah, yes. Some of us old folks of a certain age where before things came around in a big giant circle and became hip again, it was just normal. And so I think we can relate things in terms of world building and making things historical based on uh, yeah, based on the history of the age of the people. And I think in fantasy, especially fantasy gaming, when although you this could very easily be science fiction or what have you, when you have long-lived races, 6, 7, 800 years, many times, and I'm not saying that ancient races can't change. Ancient species can't change their opinions or music styles or fashion or whatever. But I'm pretty sure we normally can get set in our ways and we can miss an older era. And why wouldn't the dwarves remember and embrace a certain era that human beings have never even engaged with? That the dwarves have a way of singing and acting or a certain style or even economic system that they're still using that everybody around them is like, I don't know why they keep bringing that up. It's old, it's ancient. And they're like, nope, we're still involved in it. Vampire stories often see vampires that don't change the way they dress or act because they've gotten set in their ways. And to them, what would be the point in changing when societies, when you're ancient and a long-lived race, some societies' beliefs or magic, I mean, beliefs or music or behaviors or something can come and go so quickly. A dozen years, 2 dozen years is a blink of an eye. Why change my, you know, yeah, Dwarven Throat saying, yeah, yeah. Juices, I remember making mixtapes as a child, which is probably why I enjoy curating playlists. I think that's why playlists even exist in the first place. To be honest with you, it's a um, not that young people today who've never heard or even seen an iPod wouldn't want that, but I think older people we like mixtapes. We like the idea of a set of songs and music run together that give us a feeling, whether an emotional feeling, a to make us reminisce that the songs that were played at that time were the songs we listened to at that particular period of time. How we can listen to either said, yo, I remember mixtapes. Yep. There's a nostalgia to it, right? Like there are songs that we've heard, and it doesn't necessarily need to be good feelings, but it could be feelings of an innocent time. It could be feelings of a person or era that we miss, like high school or college or something, um, and the difficulty therein. But I also want to bring up when it comes to music formats, how we handled those formats, and then we can use that to create a history for world building. Um, Today, with streaming music, we don't have a curation of taking care of vinyl or ensuring our iPod was charged or making sure that our CD collection is organized. Uh, you know, Spook says True Blood, Old Vampire. The last time I shopped for women's lingerie, women wore petticoats. And their friend said, I'm sorry to hear that, vampire. I'm not. They left something to the imagination. Ooh, if there's only a little bit of that today. Not much left to the imagination in terms of fashion and things today. But you are correct, right? There is a when depending on the age of the individual you're talking to, they remember a thing and how and it could be a very minor thing we can use in our game. I often bring up these blue scarves. I bring up these touchstones when it comes to world building, when we have these talks and whatnot. And there may have been an era where everyone wore these vivid blue colors and no one's doing it any longer. And that could be an era of your world and your world building where people had this someone from across the great oceans brought back with them these fabrics and this way to dye fabrics into these vivid blues, and everyone wore them, and no one's wearing them any longer. But when the players go out adventuring, or some of the older races are still wearing these vivid blues, maybe some people even pick with them, like, I can't believe they're still wearing those blue cloaks and those blue feathers or blue petticoats or whatever. And it could lead us to not only a storytelling element, a narrative element, like, oh well, they just happen to be old enough to remember when wearing these blue fabrics were popular. But when the players adventure or even come across others out there, and when the mysterious leader of the bandit tribe is wearing these vivid blues, you may know what era they came from. Maybe they come from an era where, what's a good political system? They came from an era where there was a republic of freedom, but now there's a totalitarian government. And the PCs might go, oh, I don't. Maybe they remember an era where there was freedom and prosperity or something like that, simply because they're wearing this blue scarf around their neck that they remember from an older era. And so the physical representation could represent the political or social element, and so on and so forth. Drew says, I have a playlist on Spotify that is supposed to be a mixtape. The idea was I played Eddie from the fourth season of Stranger Things. Oh, okay. Making a mixtape for Chrissy, thus only metal from 1985 and earlier. Sweet. And y- it's funny because even in our tabletop role playing community, it used to be a thing of coming up with music for your tabletop game. There are websites out there are apps out there that have devoted themselves, heck, YouTube channels that have devoted themselves to fantasy music. And we remember, hell, I remember finding soundtracks from movies, many of them fantasy, some of them not. One of my favorite soundtracks, of course, you could literally buy the soundtrack from the Lord of the Rings movies, but the the problem with some soundtracks is that players would get distracted because they would know what the songs were. But some from movies that you weren't expecting were really good. One of my favorite was from the movie Passion of the Christ. It had a very, I want to say, Middle Eastern, Persian ish air to it. I remember another one called, not Cats. Oh, there was a horror movie about these people that could transform into cats from the 80s, and it had a really good soundtrack to it. Terminator had a good one. And Aliens had a good one. Yeah. Also, so if we let's talk about right here, we got an image of a record to the very left here, and movie scores. I called it soundtracks. There's a difference. Movie scores and movie soundtracks. Movie scores are the music that is played in the movie for the scenes. Movie soundtracks are a curated list of songs, maybe from other artists that are, and some of those songs will be in a movie, not all of them, but they are a curated audio experience based on the movie. Yes, Cat People. That's it. It was Cat People. Yeah, move. Yes. Spook says movie score in general have a lot of good background music for people rarely recognized if it's not the commercial song. And also the movie score will lengthen out the song. So in the movie you might only hear 20 seconds at the most. And the audio mixing might have it down very low unless it's like an action scene or like a montage or something of that nature. But the movie score might have the, like, for example, I remember the EDM song from the movie Blade, the very first song that they played in the club, and in the movie it's played maybe, I don't know, at the most 1 minute long, as from the movie, the Marvel movie Blade, Vampire Hunter, that kind of thing, Daywalker. But I think the sound, sorry, not to, the scores music was like 11 or 12 minutes long, and I remember playing that in cyberpunk games a lot. Yeah, and scores tend to be orchestral and mixed in a way that, like, uh, oh, what's one? Someone uploaded to like YouTube. I remember listening to the the latest The Batman movie, and the boom 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 boom, and the various iterations of that, and that's like an hour and a half long of the various scenes in the movie, and it's very orchestral and whatnot. Doesn't have to be, but for the most part it is. Quentin Tarantino is notorious for finding like deep B-side cuts for his movies, and so in that he'll take like the what's it called, um, the one with the portion of the song without lyrics, and play that in the background of his music, of his movies. Cat People had a theme song by Bowie. If it had a theme song by Bowie, if I'm not mistaken, probably. I barely remember bits and pieces off of Cat People. Yeah, Spook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was making that distinction. I know people are out there. If they're here, they're screaming at me about that. Yes, a score is original music to the movie, and a soundtrack is just a collection of music in total. Sometimes they overlap slightly. They will overlap. Like there might be a song or two that was, a chunk of it was pulled out for the movie for the, and then put into the soundtrack, and then extended out by that artist, or vice versa. The song was made, and then someone who's mixing music will snatch a bit and piece from it. I remember in the, like, for example, in the movie, Tarantino movie, um, Kill Bill, and there's a song that's played before the battle where Kiddo is fighting the crazy 88s, and it's like this doom, it's like it's like a little upbeat thing, boom 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 boom, and the eight crazy 88s are like walking through the hallways and whatnot before the fight starts. And yeah, there's a really great part of that. So if we talk about records, 33s and 88s, small ones and large ones, keeping that record collection clean, having it organized on walls, ensuring that the 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 individual that knows how to flip those. And of course, we have, what is it? Music mixing, the DJ with the two turntables and a fader in between and whatnot. And while one song is playing, the DJ's got their earphone, uh, half listening to the song that they're mixing and rolling backwards and whatnot. And the idea that in history and fantasy, there may be something that the ancients are taking care of, whether it's like these strange mage stones that don't exist anymore, no one either collects or any longer. There may be a format of recording information, like on these scrolls that are stacked, 3 people high, and that no one uses because now they use bookbinding to hold these ancient texts. But back in the day, The books didn't exist, but we had them on these long rolled scrolls. And before that, they were carved in stone or wood or painted on walls and things of that nature. And it really gives us a sense of history. And even after um, someone finds these records or what would represent records in your world, it could also be that no one understands how to even use them. So maybe someone finds mage stones, but there's no, maybe the mage stones must, I don't know, float over top of these perfectly uh, uh, there are these perfectly forged metal discs or something, and they're almost mirror like, or they have a matte black finish that also makes them disappear because they don't reflect any light. And if you can find one and then take a mage stone and just give it a little spin, it'll float above it, and you can gather the knowledge from within it. But guess what? You need to find the black, the black disc that they float over. No one knows where they came from or even how to make them. And maybe there's an old dwarf that's like, back in my day, I remember making these. And they're like, could you make one? And he's like, make one. I've got like six in the back of my closet. Hold on. And he grabs one up because he hasn't seen a mage stone in forever. And, little things like that could really build a lot of history where, the players maybe are able to acquire some ancient knowledge or something simply by just asking or having a conversation with individuals that remember that period of time. Whereas in the current era, they're like, I don't know, I've heard of mage stones, but I've never used them. And anything related to it doesn't have to be music or even music related, but I'm just talking about historical formats. Could you imagine like the old Bronze Age where they used to like carve these intricate patterns on the inside of breastplates and the greaves from the old Romanesque era? But if you found the armor and you could find out like the story that was built on the inside of them or carved on the inside and things. Yeah, and like Drew says, and then we get to listen to great, dwarven throat singing. That maybe there's a bunch of dwarves that are like, I remember these songs, and they do go back into their dwarven throat singing that they haven't done in a millennium because no one's bothered even asking them about it, right? Yeah, Spook says an old elf mage that insists on using spell tablets for the crisp runes you get that you just can't get on this silly paper stuff. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, maybe there was a lost era. Maybe today, and there can, of course, listen, we're talking about different eras and ages and people remembering them and such. Come on, come on, come on, Brutus. I know you're. Yes, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to pick you up. You've been asking me this entire time. All right. Um, there could be like, for example, uh, new doesn't mean better, right? We know that even today. Like, us older folks are like, oh, I remember back when things were better from the better era because things were better back then. And there might be, I mean, there could be some truism in your world, right? Like maybe books and the traditional libraries and books, maybe they're not really the most efficient things in the world. Maybe there was a better way of doing it, or there was a greater era where someone says like, um, the strange carvings on the walls, you know, to outsiders, they may say, "Oh, this is really nice," but to the people that live there, they're like, "No, all those runes you see carved on the city-state walls, those are actually spells." As in, like, open up your tabletop role playing game and look up a spell, and maybe the older people there came from an era where no everybody could cast the spells because they were literally written on the walls, but nobody remembers. And or people were hoarding that knowledge for themselves, where back in the day they used to fly banners that had the runes or glyphs or whatever on displayed on them for everyone to see. And it was an era of like your average citizen or guild member could just walk down the street and they carried a staff, and hey, you want to create a tensor's floating disk spell? Just speak the words and you know move the blocks that were built that no one remembers how to move, the giant stone blocks that were taken from hundreds of kilometers away and stacked um, but even using this image here that I have up here, I mean, we have what is it, 8 track? Yeah, yeah, it's a from left to right, we have a either a 33 or 45, an 8 track, a cassette tape, a CD, and an iPod. And that could be really cool. Let me see if they go into any. There's vinyl records, and I mean, even stealing the vinyl record idea, I mean, especially for like, well, not just fantasy, even science fiction, a disc that you place into a machine for science fiction. Of course, this makes sense. We've seen this plenty of times. Um, these don't necessarily need to be made out of vinyl per se, but yeah, they could be cubes. I don't know. Look how many vinyl records they have stacked together. Lost Era. There's still groups putting out vinyl records to this day. I don't know if any of you remember the cassette tape where you had to take a pencil. You take a pencil, you stick it in the cassette tape, and then there's a way where you could rewind the tape. Although, to be honest with you, the cassette tape had a double side to it. At a certain point, it had a double side. So or you'd have to put it in the machine and waste your batteries if it wasn't plugged in, and rewind the whole cassette tape and then bring it back. The cassette tape also, they thought it would kill music because as a kid, you could listen to the radio, and if you timed it just right, you could make your mixtape by hitting record and getting that song. And you would always get upset because halfway through the song, they would overlay the audio from the radio station, and we would all be like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that." But it was really cool. And of course, it meant you went through a lot of trouble to make a tape that you could hand to someone, someone you may have been interested in it romantically as a 11-year-old or something, and hand to them and show that you were going steady. That was a very common thing back in the day. It was a physical representation of the work you went through. That's funny. Work hard, party hard. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, even the idea of a machine that or object or something that had this. Yep. Very cool, very cool. A Walkman. Don't People don't even remember what Walkmans were, where it was a battery powered device that you would place your cassette tapes in, and then it went on to CDs, compact discs, and you could play them. And then compact disc would always skip because it was a laser that was reading the songs on it. And then of course they had Walkmans, a Sony Walkman that had a thing so that you could jog while playing one and it wouldn't skip. And it also meant that when we listened to music, oh yeah. Yes, true. Yeah, Drew says '90s had been neat, having the songs on CD, making mixtapes on cassette, and yes, recorded stuff from the radio too. And there was a physicality to the music formats, that how we handled them. Like, for example, if you had a CD or an album, it wasn't it behooved us to listen to the entire thing. So if you had a Sony Walkman and you were jogging, it meant that the artist had to have music that from song to song was quality enough for you to listen to the whole thing while you jogged, because you couldn't just it was a pain in the butt to have to switch one CD out for another one. Your batteries would go dead, or like the mixtapes were in order. So sometimes a person who would make a really good mixtape would put the songs in a specific order so that you would have an emotional um roller coaster of sorts, amusement, so that it would lead from one thing to another. And there were concept albums. I still remember one of my favorite bands, Coheed and Cambria, that would make concept albums that led you through a story. And it was interesting to find out the titles to the songs, and how even the titles to the songs on the album itself would build a storyline and such, as opposed to just one song. Hey, Spook brings up an excellent point too, which we're gonna talk about for gaming. This is like nothing was worse. Oh hell yeah, nothing was worse than gambling on a new CD only to have half the songs suck. And you are so correct, because unlike today, where you could download, where you don't even need to download anything any longer, you just have a playlist or a song or a streaming service, and they give you their curated song one after another. Back in the day, you actually had to save your money, leave your home, go to the mall, go to, let's see if I can remember some of the, and you guys come up with some names of the music stores. For me, I remember three music stores. Yeah, I'm still a Coheed fan, and they're still producing music. What is it, Claudio? For me, was always a great sound engineer for his band. Always did a great job in curating like members of the band and the audio travel log, I guess is the way to put it, through the music and stuff for Coheed. Strange today doesn't bother me. I understand back in the day there were some people that hated Coheed because he had such a high voice that like drove people insane for like a hard rock. Like you imagined him like grabbing the mic and just going like, "Arr," and he didn't sing like that. He had a very high voice. He could hit these high notes. It was just like, wait, what, dude? You're like 6'4" and all this. And he had that. I think he still has that big mane of hair that that covered his face and whatnot. Yeah, so funny. Yeah. Oh, Sam Goody. We had Sam Goody and Fye. Uh, Spook says we had a Sam Goody as a music store, though all the big box stores has large music sections as well, which I think the big box stores kind of helped usher out those places. I remember Sam Goody and Fye, which was For Your Entertainment. Those were the two big ones, and there was always a place known as uh, there was a music store called Tower Records that was very popular on the East and West Coast, and here in the States. And Tower Records was always had like the deep dive section where there were people who knew how to go through. There were individuals in there who were just, they were like old comic book collectors, where they just had their head down in these crates, and they would just flip through the crates one after another just to get to find that one hidden gem. Yeah. Drew says, of course, the opposite could happen, that you get the album because of one song you heard on the radio, to find out that the album version is so much better. And there are plenty of songs that are totally awesome. That happened quite a bit, especially for some of the artists that knew that they couldn't get away with having just one song. And it also came about because of the happy accidents that would happen with some of the bands, which doesn't really happen today, where the studio says song alpha should be the one that makes it, but then there's song beta or gamma on the album that people find that really put them into the stratosphere. Some of those songs were just like accidental, they were happy accidents, and they put them on the album, and then all of a sudden they blew up. And we kind of don't have that now. Now it's not only curated, but you can't really, there isn't a collective of experience where people go, hey, did you listen to song number 6 on the B side? Or did you buy the CD and song number 8 titled something or whatever is like a 15-minute audio, you know, escape? And someone goes, I didn't listen to that one. And all of a sudden that's the one that takes off. Yeah. Yeah. Spook says his voice was fine for me. The people I knew who were into Coheed were a little intense and were not good at selling the band in any way. It didn't sound like a cult. Yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that one. I was a bit of a shadow Coheed and Cambria fan, because I didn't want to be associated with like the, you don't understand them, and you don't, then I'm not going to explain it to you unless you know. There was a lot of that. Guitar Hero, yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Coheed song called "The Broken" that didn't get a lot of airplay, and I really like it. It's kind of dark, but it's really good. Just follow your every move. Yeah, some of the lyrics. Anyway, Spook says Guitar Hero loading screen. Let's start with our new single to get that piece of shit out of the way. Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, Guitar Hero. I mean, I didn't even talk about that part of music. But one of the things, oh, here we go. CDs stacked up in the big box stores and well, even the Sam Goodies and whatnot. You could flip through them alphabetically, and the little inserts that would explain to you the or had the song lyrics or gave you the story of how the song came about. I loved reading those little booklets, especially from some of the artists that had other talents, like artistic talents. I remember Linkin Park was one that had they did they were like graphic artists as well that really brought me into it. There's Napster, where they broke the songs out individually. Um, talking about fantasy games. I know we should just talk about music formats, whatever, but I gotta still talk about tabletop role playing games. Um, it would be interesting to find out that like the magic in the world where people have like spell books isn't really the way it was supposed to be. It was like Napster is the spell book of the fantasy by breaking the spells apart, but maybe the spells were supposed to be like this, where they were supposed to be a collection together to achieve a greater thing. Like maybe the fireball spell wasn't supposed to be fireball. Maybe the fireball spell was supposed to be the the flaming engine to a greater spell of something else, right? You know, and then of course here's Metallica. Metallica was one of the first rock bands that was like really a wanted to have a major lawsuit against breaking up their music and monetizing their music without their consent by breaking it up into different chunks, which is basically what we have today, except for streaming services, streaming music. And Chuck D from uh, Public Enemy. That's it. Chuck D, Flavor Flav, and then online music streaming sites where they take the music and then the artists are getting a percentage of a penny for every song that's played. But the streaming sites, people sign up for them for like, you know, back in the day, it was like $10 a month, $20 a month or something for the various streaming sites. And you would just go, I want to listen to lounge music or rock music or country or exercise and whatnot, and then they would curate the music for you, and that exists till today. And heck, we have AI music, which is probably playing in the background. Music systems, Pandora, some other ones there. SoundCloud, where you can upload your own music now today, where people SoundCloud, I don't know when this website was done, but it has 76 registered users, 175 million listeners. That can't be it. Hmm. So anyway, let me go back to the original image and then talk about some other things, and then we will let you go. Yeah, Flavor Flav. Yeah. There you go. I'll get my see what because you made a comment. But Drew's like spell book. Nah, I put my spells in the clouds. Yeah, I love that. It's like, ha! I took your spell book away. I threw it down into the lava pit, and this wizard's like, nope. I remember my passwords. I remember those. They're up in the clouds. Yeah, don't think you can get me. Which maybe those cloud giants and storm giants are like, we used to terrorize people, but now we make a lot of passive income. Oh man, just storing your spells in the clouds. Heathen says, I finished the art. Sweet. Heathen stepped away for a little bit to finish it up. Lyrics in the jewel case was a game changer. Wait, that's what they said? You know what? Li- Something that we don't often talk about when it comes to music is like, and I'm going to admit it for the rest of you, what the hell were they talking about? There were songs I've listened to for years that I thought they said one thing and they actually said something else. And I mean, there's whole YouTube channels dedicated to the misinterpretation of songs. And you're like, wait, they said that? I don't remember them say that. Which I wonder, I wonder today, all the young folks that are listening to like mumble rap and some of these other hip hop rap styles, where it's like, are you sure you heard what they said? Because they probably said something else. Oh wow, heathen, yeah. Also, I was one of those who could easily spend hours in the Tower Records crates, found some Metallica gems in there. See, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're one of those people. Because I spent time in music stores looking for just it was like a random. It was half looking for a list of what you wanted, and then coming across hidden gems you didn't think existed. And there were artists that would put out um like shadow albums and B-side songs and things like that that you would find, and they became these underground like Prince was notorious for that. There were these underground music releases that weren't given a wide spread, but over time you found them, and it was really cool. And yeah, sometimes you need a bigger watch face. I'm in that group. Heathen says media play. I don't remember media play. Best Buy was a big one. Borders Books and Music. Yep, Borders Books was a big one here in the States. Circuit City. I think even Circuit City carried music. I believe so too. It says I loved electronic stores because they smelled like ozone. Yeah, they. I guess you're right. They did have that like electronic. They had that smell of like burning a bunch of electronics because they had things plugged in. It says I've dived, diving into funk lately. Great for my mental health. That's awesome. Walmart had a big section too. I think the big box stores, Walmart and some of our big box stores here in the States kind of put the small specialty places out. The specialty stores always had like um, ozone as in O3. Yeah. Um, the big box stores never really had those hidden gems in the back of the place, but if you went to a music store and you knew what you were talking about, you could always talk to one of the people that worked there, and the person that worked there knew you were looking for a specific thing, and they would take you back to that section. Yeah, 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 yeah. They were like the pop section was all up front, but they were like, hey, yeah, yep, yep, yep. Yeah. We also had a lot of theft too. Let's be honest. There was a lot of theft. So you always had to leave your bags up front and take I don't know, like a puzzle piece or like a wooden block or um, this taped up piece of cardboard or something with you, and then collect your bag before you left because people would steal the CDs all the time. That was a shame as well. You're so funny there, Ethan. Oh man. But yeah, taking my point about our discussion here today, of course, we went down. I knew we would go down memory lane and talk about those kind of things. Woo. But is that music formats by itself is just it's a tiny sliver of a way of us tracing time. And you could do that very easily by picking something like weapons or fashion or phrases in terms of phrases. There may be boundaries for different countries. again, using fantasy and magic. Heck, there could even be monsters and the, what would I say, the effluvia, I don't know what you call it, left over from like monsters and animals and things like that, that in the past was a common thing that today they don't do. Like, for example, the classic adding horns onto a helmet may have been a thing done at a particular time because there was a, oh, what's that? There's a Dungeons and Dragons monster that has a deer head, a vulture's body, and something else. I think it's got snakes for its tail, not a cockatrice, it's something else. But my point being is that it could be the results of something that happened in the past that even the people today don't remember, but everyone carrying around cockatrice feathers in their helmet came from an era where the overwhelming population was overrun by these cockatrices that were um, corrupting the region, and there was a famine that happened because it would kill the land or something, and they did battle against these cockatrices, but that's why there's all these warriors that were turned to stone out there in the wilds that are now covered with moss and dirt and grime, and birds are like sitting on their shoulders and whatnot. And many of the people's bodies are crumbled into stone out there in the fields, but no one moves their bodies anymore. And the PCs are like, why are they out there? And they might be thinking there must be a Medusa at some point, but no one explains it, because even the young people are like, I don't know. There's just random statues out there. I don't know. Is the Periton? It's the Periton. Oh, I'm gonna find it. Let's see if we can find an image. There it is. There we go. Stat block it. It's not coming up big enough. There it is. Yeah, it's got like a deer's head and claws. Magical evil, full of hate. What a wonderful creature. Yeah, the Periton, another version of a monster that kind of represents corruption. Oh, that one looks better. Yeah, that one's even better. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Heathen says, I gotta say, everyone around here listens to rap. Not my cup of tea, but but it'll probably grow on me. There, it depends. There's as a I am not a rap aficionado, but we're going through an era where most of it is pretty much like, it's pretty low hanging fruit. It's not the best. Um, there is a lyricism in rap and hip hop that uh it's kind of faded to the background now. Now everyone's trying to put out a single to make some money and get out the game. And there are some better artists today. Not better. There's some niche artists today that are doing a better job at it. And it's more intricate. Rap music is more intricate than a little bit by the people who are experts at it. Um, Heathen says, I'd explore the music world music section and just try things. My mom randomly got me a CD by an Indian band called Rahat. Turned out I loved it. That was another thing about music stores that it was very cool. I used to go to, for here in the Ohio Valley, we had a place called Half Price Books, and they used to have a really large music section because you could turn in your old music, and it was called Half Price Books because they would make money off of reselling your stuff. And I love doing a deep dive in that, and I would find a lot of my um, music soundtracks and scores and things like that in there. Spook says, "Oh, how about you can tell how old a mage is by the way they make magical abominations. Like there was that phase where they used kobolds for all their creature bases. Yep. Yeah. Why the hell not? The kobolds are like, we remember back then, and everyone's like, I don't get it, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Why the hell not? Yeah, yeah. There was a time when there's a reason why the kobold population is low, but no one remembers when. And there was that time when the mages were like, "Yep, mix half kobold and a little, sprinkle of something else." Hell yeah, really, kitties? Drew says, "I personally say I'm a punk girl, but I certainly enjoy the social critical rap that feels in that manner, like holding up a punk tradition." Yes, very much so. There's a let's see if I can come up with some names of hip hop groups that are doing an excellent job at the double and triple entendres and whatnot. Contra. Let's see. Locksmith is probably one. I don't know if I'm spelling their names right. Um, this guy's his name is Daylight. Who's somebody else? King Los. I think it's L O capital LOS. JID, I think is one. Um, I can't remember some other names. Yeah, these are some individuals that are, and of course, there's always going back in the crates, right? Some say '90s, yeah, '90s rap. Yep, there you go. Third wave ska. We played it by week. Ah, there you go, your ska. Oh, Gwen Stefani and No Doubt brought that into the mainstream. Was really instrumental in bringing ska into the mainstream. Yeah, in the '90s, rap went downhill. Yeah, there was a period of time where you could listen to rap music was so expansive, like it was great. Yeah, yeah. So some of these go to YouTube. With some of the excellent things about some of these artists is that, especially Coast Contra, they'll put their lyrics on the screen and you still can't get it. It's so wild about some of the doubles and triples. Let me see if I can find something. I'm going to find someone here. Let's go to YouTube. I think there's a YouTube channel. I'm going to have to mute this out. There's a YouTube channel. Is it Stilu? Yeah, yeah. Stilu. Um, let's see. No, Kitty. No. I know what you're doing. Come on. All right. Come on. Come on up. You're so silly. You're so silly. Thank you so much. All right. Uh, big pun. So I'm going to pick one of these randomly, and I'm going to show you. First of all, this is Eminem, Nas. Uh, Let me pick Black Thought. All right. This out. So this is just an example of. I'm just using this as an example that share this right here. There we go. This is an example of YouTube channel that uses colors to show how the rap artist is able to not just rhyme, but put internal rhymes, A B, callbacks, doubles, and they use color coding to show you how The rap artist uses the beginnings, the middle, the ends of words, and then phraseology, and mixes that with one phrase to the next one as it moves on. So I've muted this out, but as this plays, you'll see that some of the song words will go back and fall back to the other ones. Like thought and talk will kind of mix together because they'll bend the words and bend the way they pronounce the words. Effect, test, deaths, bless, esque kind of will blend together as well based on the thing. And then you'll see there's a word like effective, clinic, and identic, benef. Yeah, hey kitty. And rap artists will bend words. So it's not that the rap artists are doing it wrong. What they're doing is they're bending words to make to so silly. Um to make the words fit into a particular manner is what they're doing. And so they might take two words that don't rhyme. Like I think 10 years ago or something, Eminem made a song that had words that rhymed with the word orange. Yeah. Ska, the Toasters, Escalators, Scatolites, the Specials. There's a weird satanic ska band called Mephistopheles. What? No, there was Mephistopheles. That's funny. That's hilarious. I like that. Yeah, Brutus came back. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for following me. To slightly talk about me is uh, I was going through something. I don't know what it was. Blood sugar was going up and down. My brain wasn't working. My creativity was like dead in the water. It was just like I was waking up to like a brick. Come on, kitty. Come on up. There we go. I don't know what it was. Um, it was just crazy. Hey, kitty. Oh, lick. She loves it because she's just licking the fingers. You're so silly. She does this thing. Uh, Says, yeah, there was. I'll go get a link. Awesome, awesome. Mephistopheles. That's really wild. She she just she's so funny. She's just like, I don't care. I'm gonna just lick fingers. You know, you can put your paws up, right? You don't have to like just literally like drop all your limbs. She does this thing where she drops her limbs down and just goes um like kids that go when they fall asleep and their head just falls back. Yeah, purr purr purr. Can they hear you? Mm. Thanks, Kitty. I really appreciate it. What you looking for? All right. Mephistopheles. I did. Ooh, we could talk about it tomorrow. I did. Andor's back. Star Wars, good Star Wars is back. Sorry, hot take, not much of a hot take, is back. And oh, it's a little. There's more internal comedy in it that I absolutely love. That I absolutely love. You don't have to duck your head. He's ready to go to sleep. Big, real big fish, voodoo glow skulls. You're so into yeah, ska, yeah. Best Star Wars, not just good. Yeah, it's funny how they take. Um, I love how Andor takes subtly funny things and turns them into the most horrible thing in the world. They literally had a stormtrooper pause, stop, take aim, and kill one of our side characters. And we've never seen a stormtrooper that accurate before. Andor is really great. Andor took a what we would think is a throwaway um uh TIE fighter and made that TIE fighter the main um what would you call it? Like the main thrust of danger and horror in a scene. Like one single TIE fighter. It's great. It's a great show. Oh man, Deidre and Cyril, that relationship, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that they they did that. There's some comedy. It's dark and it's like it's meant to be comedic without being a joke, without being like slapstick, and it is a excellent writing. I'm with you there, Drew. It does make it feels and the show Andor makes you feel what being an average person is in the empire rather than being like a big damn hero, which I don't mind the big damn heroes, but just trying to get along in that world, in that empire, is like you just rolling your eyes like, really, what the fuck? Like there's some ridiculous things going on and it is amazing how it's done. E- Even how the empire operates, it is wildly depressing. I, I wonder I wonder how many Illuminati meetings they have in the Empire versus how many they have in the real world, our real world. I would dare to guess they're probably equal the number of Illuminati meetings in rooms of people getting together like, well, if we lose this much of the population, it wouldn't cost us that much. 12% reduction in population, not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, you're per. You're like an engine. Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. Um, Andor, excellent. Andor and uh, I, I I believe they say this latest season is going to advance us up to 5 years, and I can't wait. I can't wait. Spook says I liked Andor for showing that people had to get dirty. Yep, to let all those big heroes look clean. Yeah, I mean the Mon Mothma um, storyline, the actress and the characters in that, all the Game of Thrones esque. Everyone is speaking in subtext, which is wild. It's everyone is saying words out loud, but they mean something else underneath it. And how the Mon Mothma character is, she's got to give up all this stuff before she becomes who she is. I mean, her daughter is like, oh my god, yeah, yeah. Her husband, ugh. Yeah. The funny to have a dance scene in a show, and the dance scene is showing us the last of her joy, and it's wild. Great show. We'll talk about. You know what? We'll do an Andor tomorrow. Let's do that. Drew says, looking forward to tomorrow. Then I have seen some people being annoyed with the rebels in the first two episodes, but I think that was perfect to show how they simply are not unified. Exactly. Like not only were the let's I think maybe some people are mistaking the feeling that is supposed to overcome us versus what is presented in front of us, right? I think we're supposed to be annoyed with those rebels. We're supposed to be mad at them for being for when you take away leadership, what happens when there's no leadership? There's a reason why we have leadership in the first place. And there are some people who are just like, oh, anarchist. I'm a complete anarchist. And it's like, yeah, when things are running well for you, but when everybody else disagrees with you, what happens then? Yep. Yep. Mon Mothma dancing away, trying to not feel the fact that her who pulled her childhood friend into this thing, and he won't keep his fucking mouth shut. He's like, talk, talk, talk. I'm drunk. I'm drunk. I feel like I should be, treated better and blah, blah, blah. And she's just sitting, rolling her eyes like, shut up. Yeah. I'm with you there, Spook. Yeah, cause doesn't always get the best and brightest. It's a lot of emotion. And also sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes when things gotta get dirty, the least socially um appropriate people are drawn to a certain level of anti-socialism, violence. Some people are just destructive in nature, and it draws those. Yeah, yeah. Brutus would be a great rebel leader because Brutus doesn't even know what he wants. Brutus is just like, I don't know if I'm sleepy. Now, see, Brutus is about to fall asleep because her sister's, ow, did you bite? You bite? Oh, see, there goes the licky licks. You want to fall asleep, but you're like a child. You want to stay awake while you're, look at, okay, okay. I, do you want to get down? Let me go. No, hold me. No, let me go. No, hold me. You silly ass cat. Okay, okay, I'll hold the blanket up for you. Hold on. You're falling down, kitty kitty. There you go. There you go. All right. You're in the blanket. Let's see if we can get some ASMR before I let everybody go. Oh. Hold your head up. It looks like I'm hurting you, but you're floppy flopping. You're such a silly kid. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I hope you were able to reminisce about some of the audio formats like I can think of. Yeah. um, yes, totally, exactly, completely unpredictable. They're like, are they going left or right? I don't know. Um, I it's also a little bit funny in terms of like when I'm talking about audio formats, and a little sad that those of us that are here right now have probably lived through a minimum of 5 or 6 audio formats and 5 or 6 or more audio formats in our lifetime that a new generation will never experience. And there's something about a history of that where there can be, and no fault to the young people that don't know what a CD is or a Zune, who completely missed the Zune era, which Zune really wasn't an era, but it's funny, but who missed the Zune or the iPad or records or 8 tracks or cassettes or CDs. And when I say the whole era, I'm talking about buying them, organizing them, trading them, fixing them, breaking them, and all that kind of stuff. The even the music industry panicking about cassette tapes and CDs and how all these places came and went, and it's part of our history. And I think we could follow some of this for our world building to say, hey, listen, the humans, they remember one thing. The elves, maybe they remember something else. Maybe a young elf has no idea what this particular piece of history is, but the older ones, oh, they remember. And they remember in such a way so vividly that no one else who's younger, less than 200 years, understands why they're so panicked or so paranoid or any number of things. Lift your head up, kitty. Get your head up. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. We'll talk Andor tomorrow, and there were some other things I was thinking about during the week, but Andor is a great show, and while we don't have to give away spoilers, not that. Listen, Andor dies. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the character Andor dies, and honestly, Andor is not really the most dynamic character in the world. He's very much the protagonist that we follow along, who has some of the same frustrations we do when watching the show, and I love it. Diego, Diego Luna has such a um, this is some bullshit face that I love it. So yeah. Drew says I had at one point a few hundred gigs of music on my computer. Wow, streaming made my life so much easier. Wow. Okay. Okay. I know some people are like probably a little pissed off even now that I'm making them remember of how many thousands of dollars they spent on their iPod to get the music $1 at a time, only to realize that iPods faded away and now all the music's basically streaming. Yeah. I think my wife even forgets that. I still have a 300 CD changer that's full with 300 CDs, music CDs in it, and it's been a while since I've even played them. And I have a I don't know if you can see this over my shoulder, right? Let me see if I can point to it. Right above Angel's Wings, that's a speaker in the wall, and it's hooked up to our 300 seat. We haven't used that in a while. Yep, I have built-in speakers in the wall. Came about by luck. Yeah, feeling better. It was a combination of things. I am a person of a certain age, and yeah, so it was just a couple of things. So, oh, there you go. Go see mommy. So anyway, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day. I'm going a little long today. I want everyone to just be pleasant, to be fruitful, and to have a great day. I really appreciate it. So, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Bye. Oh, wait, I got to take you out with a little takeout. There we go.